The barn was silent, until a faint, desperate squeak broke through the stillness. Tom turned, thinking it was a mouse. But when he pulled back the hay, his breath caught in his throat. Lying there was the tiniest puppy he had ever seen, so small it could fit inside his hand. Its fur was damp, its heartbeat fragile, its eyes still sealed shut. "No, this can't be real," he whispered. The little creature twitched, letting out another soft cry, as if begging him not to leave. Tom scooped it up, his hands trembling. "Hang in there, little one." Moments later, he burst through the vet's door, but when Dr. Harris examined the puppy, his face went pale. "Tom, this is impossible." The morning sun had just begun to rise over the quiet countryside when Tom, a humble farmer, walked into his old wooden barn to start his chores. The air was crisp, filled with the soft rustle of hay and the distant cooing of pigeons. But then, a faint sound stopped him in his tracks, a high-pitched squeak, almost too soft to be real. Tom frowned, listening carefully. It came again, from a pile of hay near the corner. He pushed aside the straw gently, and froze. Nestled in the warmth of the hay was the tiniest creature he had ever seen, a puppy, so small it could fit in the palm of his hand. Its tiny body trembled, its eyes sealed shut, its breathing weak but determined. For a second, Tom thought his eyes were deceiving him. "No way, that can't be," he whispered. He looked around for the mother, the rest of the litter, but there was nothing. Just silence. The puppy let out another fragile squeak, wriggling helplessly. Tom's heart ached. Carefully, he scooped it up in his rough, calloused hands and whispered, "Hang on, little one." He didn't know it yet, but that tiny cry would change his life forever. Tom burst through the clinic door, clutching the tiny puppy wrapped in a handkerchief. "Dr. Harris, please. You've got to help him," he shouted, his voice trembling. The veterinarian turned, expecting an injured farm dog, but when he saw what Tom was holding, his expression turned to disbelief. The puppy fit entirely in the palm of his hand. Its fur was soft gray, its paws no bigger than sunflower seeds. Dr. Harris blinked, speechless. "Tom, is this real?" "He was in my barn," Tom stammered. "No mother, no litter, just him." The vet carefully placed the puppy on a soft towel under a heating lamp. "His temperature is dangerously low," he murmured. He leaned closer, listening with his stethoscope. Heartbeats faint, but steady. As Dr. Harris fed the little creature, it weakly lifted its paw, gripping the vet's finger with surprising strength. The room fell silent. "He's begging us not to give up," Dr. Harris said softly, his eyes glistening. Tom swallowed hard. "Can he make it?" The vet hesitated. "I've never seen one this small," he admitted. "But if he's still fighting, we'll fight with him." And from that moment on, hope filled the room. Dr. Harris placed the tiny puppy inside a small incubator to keep its body temperature stable. "Is he going to live?" he asked. The vet didn't answer immediately. His eyes were fixed on the puppy's movements, every breath, every twitch of its minuscule paws. "It's strange," he murmured. "He's not weak like most runts. His vitals are fragile, but his structure, it's flawless." Tom frowned. "Flawless?" Dr. Harris nodded slowly. He turned on a magnifier lamp, studying the tiny heartbeat pulsing beneath the thin fur. "It's as if nature created a perfect dog and then shrunk it." As he ran additional scans, his brow furrowed. "Tom," he said, voice low, "the genetic markers here, they don't make sense. These readings shouldn't exist in a normal puppy." Tom blinked, confused. "You mean someone did this to him?" The vet hesitated. "I don't know, but this little one isn't just a runt. He's something extraordinary." Just then, the puppy let out the faintest whimper. Its tiny eyes fluttered open for the first time, locking onto Dr. Harris's face. The hardened vet froze, and for the first time in years, tears welled in his eyes. "He's looking right at me," he whispered. "Like he knows. We're his only hope." The following morning, Dr. Harris sat at his desk, scanning the lab results. "No, this can't be right," he muttered. He read the data again, his hands beginning to shake. The puppy's DNA wasn't just unusual, it was impossible. Tom entered quietly, removing his hat. "Doc, is he okay?" Dr. Harris looked up slowly, his face pale. "Tom, this puppy wasn't born naturally." Tom frowned, confused. "What do you mean?" The vet exhaled, struggling to find the words. "He's been cloned. Someone attempted to replicate a dog's genetic code, but something went wrong. His growth genes were altered, stunted. That's why he'll never grow bigger than this. Tom's eyes widened. You're saying someone made him? Dr. Harris nodded grimly. He's the result of human interference. Someone tried to play God, and then abandoned him when it failed. They both turned toward the incubator, where the puppy, impossibly small and fragile, was sleeping peacefully. Dr. Harris's voice softened. But despite everything, he's alive. He wasn't supposed to survive, yet here he is. As if on cue, the puppy stirred, stretching its tiny legs and letting out a soft squeak. Dr. Harris smiled through tears. He's not a mistake, he whispered, placing his hand on the glass. He's a miracle, a living proof that even the smallest life can defy creation itself. In that moment, the clinic didn't feel like a hospital anymore. It felt holy. Over the next few days, the tiny puppy became the heart of the clinic. News spread fast through the small town. Everyone wanted to see the miracle dog. Tom visited every day, watching as Dr. Harris carefully fed the puppy using a dropper. He's stronger today, the vet said softly. Look, he's starting to crawl. The tiny creature wobbled forward, his paw barely the size of a coin. Tom chuckled through misty eyes. He's tougher than any full-grown dog I've owned. But late one night, the monitor began to beep wildly. Dr. Harris jolted awake, rushing to the incubator. No, not now, he whispered, performing gentle compressions with his fingertips. The room was filled with the sound of frantic beeps and desperate prayers. Then, silence. Dr. Harris froze, heart sinking. But just as he whispered, "Please fight," the tiniest sound broke through the quiet, a fragile gasp. The puppy's chest rose again. He was breathing. Dr. Harris slumped into the chair, tears blurring his vision. You did it, little one, he murmured. You chose life. From that night onward, the puppy's strength returned. Every whimper, every tiny bark became a symbol of hope, proof that even something so small could carry the heart of a giant. Weeks passed, and the little puppy, now named Button, was thriving. Though still smaller than anyone thought possible, he had the energy of 10 dogs. He wagged his tiny tail whenever Dr. Harris entered the room, his high-pitched bark echoing through the clinic like music. The townspeople adored him. Children visited daily, giggling as Button climbed onto their palms. But for Dr. Harris, this wasn't just a miracle. It was a reminder of life's most fragile beauty. One morning, an envelope arrived at the clinic. Inside was a note written in neat, unfamiliar handwriting. We created him in a lab. The experiment failed. He wasn't supposed to live. But seeing what you've done, thank you for giving him the life we couldn't. Dr. Harris read the message again and again, his hands trembling. Tears filled his eyes as he looked at Button, now playfully tugging on a strand of gauze. You were never a mistake, he whispered, voice breaking. You were meant to be found. When Tom arrived to take Button home, the vet hesitated, kneeling beside the tiny pup. Promise me you'll protect him, he said softly. Tom nodded, his eyes misty. He's family now. That evening, under the glow of a golden sunset, Button curled up in Tom's palm and fell asleep, his heartbeat steady, his life full of warmth. Dr. Harris watched from the doorway, whispering, You reminded me what miracles look like.